Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Brogan. Today we are doing another simple signal stream. And today I'm excited because the CPI data came out and I think it was very positive. And we have a talk, I believe, I don't know when exactly, actually I can't remember the day. We have a good talk coming up soon, which is hopefully going to be positive. And we've had some really good positivity. And I think I think it's going to be pushing us upwards towards our ranges. Obviously the ones we've been talking about on the past two streams, I think. About 61, 300 for me anyway, as my goal. Obviously, we have dipped a bit. Obviously, we had a bit of a drawback, due to, it was a big a movement upwards for the price, I believe it was. Obviously, we'll look at the charts when we get onto them. Obviously, we're having a bit of a retractment now to have a bit of a squeeze of some of these quick longs, which people have probably been taking in. I think we had a bit of a rapid movement upwards. Obviously, you can kind of see by this little chart. Hopefully, my head's not covering it. We had a big, moving upwards. Obviously, we're coming down now, as you can see by the little furthest end part on the chart. So we are coming down a bit, but 24 hour and the 1 hour, we are still technically up. So within today, we are still up. We've had a positive day. So I'm pretty excited. Especially you can also see on the 7-day, we've only had 0.55% negativity on the 7-day. So it's I think it does speak for what we've been doing in the market as a whole. We've kind of been crabbing, but importantly, more so. We are above our resistance line, which we've been stuck below for ages now. Obviously, on the 1 hour, we did bounce off the trend line. On the 4 hour, it seems like we've come back to try and test it a bit as well. It just seems like we're kind of cascading on the higher time frames to come back and test these, now support point, which was resistance. So, other than that, I'm pretty excited. We do have a new long open as well. I think Mike talked about it on his I don't know which stream it was. It must have been one of his streams or in the Telegram. We did talk about we have an Ethereum long open as well, not only our Bitcoin, and they're both going well. They are both going pretty well. I do expect some higher prices for Ethereum alongside Bitcoin as a whole of the market because if there's be huge positivity in all these markets and with what's going on with this news which is going to be coming out soon. It's going to be really pushing the market up. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the coming days, and I'm excited to see what's happening right now on the charts. So let's quickly go over some percentages. 0.5%, 1.3%, 24 hour. These are good numbers. $138.58 for Solana. It doesn't really seem like we're doing much. Obviously, we're going to the Solana charts. I've mainly been looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum as of late in my own personal TA because that's what I'm trading currently. So I haven't actually looked at Solana in a while. So I'm excited to see what sort of situation we're in. But reading the number, 138.5, doesn't really seem like we've moved too crazy. But I don't doubt we've moved up anything at all. So I'm going to be moving on to the charts now. However, do check the descriptions out wherever you're watching. There are useful links down there, especially your Telegram. That is really, really useful. And not only that, if you've got any coins you want me to cover throughout the stream, obviously we'll be doing our main coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana first, and then we'll be moving on to use suggested coins. And if no one suggests anything, I'll just do some coins which I'm interested in or been looking at of late. We'll be doing that a bit later in the stream, maybe halfway through the stream. We'll be looking at those coins because I normally spend a bunch of time on Bitcoin and then we kind of really quickly go over everything else. But anyway, I digress. Let's go on to the Bitcoin chart. Go. That chart is a bit messy, but that's okay. So the dailies. Let's go to the 4 hour. You know what? I did some TA here. This is a bit of a funny thing. I accidentally tricked myself into thinking we had a big old wick and I got liquidated. But no, it's just these red lines I drew to do some TA. But if I zoom in, you can see it's hard to read my charts. I understand that. A lot of people have ugly charts and I'm no dissimilar sometimes. There's a lot of lines. They are all warranted though. Don't worry. These aren't just unwarranted lines. But also, it does make it hard to see as a person who's maybe not ever, if you've seen my charts before or not. Just shimmy the lines across. There we go. So the only important part is this area. You don't need to look at any of these stuff. The only important part is this area. So I'll be pointing it out because I understand it is hard to see. So what do we have right now? We're currently at 57,788. You can see we had some pumps, obviously dumps. So this on the within the candles on these hours. I don't know when the announcements happened, but definitely quite a bit before in today. I don't know what exact time it was, but you can see we had a big move upwards in the market. Nearly 2.43, and continuing. You can see this candle was probably within where we moved. You can see coming up to this top line of resistance all the way down to where we are. So this was clearly where we had our movement, all the way up towards actually finishing at 59.6, which is absolutely mental. 59.6 was the highest we saw, and then obviously we came back down to where we are now, which is roughly 7, lowest being 57.173. So obviously we had our big pump, and everyone putting their longs, everyone getting really excited. Oh my god, the CPI number is really good. We were going up, we're breaking out, and then obviously, we got people got liquidated. Obviously I didn't get liquidated, I didn't make a trade because I'm already in a trade. But I can assume quite a lot of people get liquidated there because we had a bit of a dump. But you can see we have formed a nice engulfing order block. Because I had somebody talk to me last stream about how my order blocks aren't real order blocks. Well, in fact, they are real order blocks. I can confirm that for sure. If you're in our Crypto OG area or if you're in our Telegram as a whole, I did post some messages talking about my order blocks because somebody thought my order blocks weren't order blocks, but they are. They are order blocks. So anyway, there's nothing to need to discuss right now. So we can see order block, boom, formed. What did we do? Well, we printed here. Obviously on the lower time frames, and this is the important part about order blocks, you print at these areas. Obviously, when you get shown order blocks and you use them, especially on the higher time frames, you print within the areas. You don't really, you can't, wicking is normally what you do, but you're allowed to be wicking in and out. As long as you're printing within the means of the order block, then you're respecting the order block. So you can see here, we formed the order block. What do? We printed exactly at the midpoint. So this was a good order block. This is something which was respected well. Obviously, wicked here and there. And then obviously we came up. What happened? We had a huge sell-off because everyone was buying, every single person, probably, and their grandma and their dog and, their pet bird were buying Bitcoin at this point because of how good the news was and how big the price moving up was. And then what happened? We hit resistance, absolutely dumped, and just had huge liquidity. And then what happened? We came back to our support point. We had so much movement. We came to the bottom line here. You can see really nicely printing here. Obviously wicking as low, but that doesn't matter because we printed. So, interestingly, what's good, this whole wick, it is a crazy movement, a bit too much. So I'm not surprised we didn't print below this midpoint. If we did, I'd be very concerned. But seeing as though what the market's in currently, we're a bit bullish. I wouldn't expect us to be printing downward right now for Bitcoin. But we can see we are coming above. However, we haven't printed just yet on the 4-hour, but we are coming above this midline, which hopefully would keep us up as support and continue going along. And now the only thing I can really see of important TA is possibly some sort of really long-winded chart pattern here. You can kind of see. Now I'm not going to draw it along because it's going to take too long, but if we shimmy this across and let's say we bounce from about here, where does it kind of bring us? Well, it actually brings us to about here actually. It brings us towards 61-ish, nearly 60. Yeah, basically 61 actually. Obviously, this will probably shimmy down, but you can see the gradient on the bottom end of things on this kind of on this pennant is very, very neutral in terms of its gradient. So the displacement of the pump, if we do follow through this chart pattern, that's an if, not a will, that is an if. The offset of where we've come to is actually going to be very, very similar because of how decent this gradient is. So regardless, it brings us to about 61 to 61. So a suggestion of 61k, which is interesting. Now, the important one which I did off stream in terms of TA is this double bottom we had, which we're slightly respecting. We are trying to come above this line, but we're not really respecting it too well. However, the important part I wanted to talk about is where does this double bottom bring us? Well, this double bottom brings us to exactly 62.3. Now, I'll tell you why. So, the way you kind of, or the way it's kind of read, or suggested you should read double bottoms is you go from the bottom area all the way to the neckline, and then you double that, and that's where you'll go to your potential. So you can see this red line, you can see it's detached. That red line is the difference between the lowest point down here for the double bottom-ish and the midline or the neckline of the double bottom. And then you can see I duplicated this, and it brings us up to here. And this, as I drew it, brought us pretty much right exactly to 62.3, which is the middle of our order block, which we had difficulty at, which was actually also our important point. And if you do remember from a couple streams ago, quite a lot of streams ago actually, I did talk about how important that order block was for us to flip or not flip and whatnot. If you were there, you remember. Let me delete this random line. But it brings us back to that order block, which is a very important order block, as I've already talked about. Now, I don't think this is too crazy to say. I don't think 62.3 or anything in this area is too crazy to say. Seems like how positive we're going to be. And, we've bounced off the bottom if we go to the weekly. Obviously, it's drawn better on the daily, but the weekly, you can see it more. We are bouncing and have bounced off of the bottom of our bull flag. You can see if I shimmy this line down, you can see bounce, bounce, bounce there for the 3 wicks. Obviously, I'm not going to draw it there because that's not where it goes to, but you can see, bounce, 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 bounce. We are on our next bounce. We are supposed to be coming up now for our bull flag, which is obviously I did see another person on Twitter, I think it was, actually talk about. I think he had a bull flag, which I also had a bull pennant. Sorry, I had a bull pennant, but it wasn't very good. I'm sticking to my bull flag. But the guys, although it is bullish chart pattern, the guy who drew it on Twitter, I can't remember his name. His drawing was pretty. I didn't like his drawing because his pennant was like this. Like there's not a lot at the top. It was like that. It would half of the top wasn't there, and like the price action was like this. Like we didn't actually come to the top of the pennant, so I don't respect his pennant as much. However, you can clearly see on his chart that it's more applicable to draw a bull flag, which is what we have right here. So this bull flag is kind of the strong kind of anchor for me anyway, which is kind of telling me what we should and shouldn't be doing for Bitcoin. And importantly as well, this is on the weekly, or this is on the higher time frame. This is a higher time frame chart pattern. This is something important, spanning over multiple days and weeks. So it's not like we're going to be respecting it, one-to-one immediately on the lower time frames. What do we always say? What does everyone always say? Obviously, on the daily or the weekly, there's a lot of 4 hours. There's a lot of 1 hours. There's 24 to be precise, actually. There's 24 hours in a day. How many days in a week? There's 7 days in a week. That's a lot of hours in a week. So we don't necessarily, as soon as we come back to these bottom lines for our chart patterns, we don't immediately have to respect them and immediately bounce completely. You can still see, like on the weekly, we are still within the weak candle of where we should be bouncing off. So I'm not worried in the slightest for some breakout to fit to 48k or 45k or 52k. I don't think we'll come back to 52k anytime soon, unless we have a wick down before we come up. I don't think that's going to happen though, really. I just think we're going to be coming up now. I think we're in our bullish time right now, especially since we've got our waning moon or whatever it is, which is if you use moon patterns, then obviously that's your little provocative. Adil, I hope you're doing well. I hope I'm really good. Hopefully you've been doing well. I don't, the Binance chat is just so difficult to use because a lot of the time, obviously not right now. There's so much spam. I don't really read it as much as I used to because there's just crap like all the time. We're mainly on YouTube. I don't care about if I'm allowed to say that or not, but we're mainly on YouTube. That's where I read the chat mostly. But yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. Hopefully you're doing well as well. And like I said at the start, before we went to the charts, if you've got any coins you want me to cover, just put it in the chat. Put it in multiple times if you're on somewhere which has a fast-moving chat, and I will read it out when I have seen it. But anyway, like I was saying, I'm not worried if we're not immediately bouncing all the way up to 70,500 right now because of the fact that these chart patterns are on the higher time frames, and we have 24 hours in a day, so that's 24-hourly candles. We don't necessarily have to immediately pump, and it might take a couple days after the bounce to actually move up immediately, or not immediately, but bouncing. So you can see our bounce was Monday the 8th of July. So obviously we've shimmied across. I still give it till Saturday, Sunday, going into next Monday. Obviously I think the 18th we have some news. I believe that's some I think some to do with the ETFs on the 18th. So that's going to be huge positive news. When is the 18th? The 18th is Thursday. I believe it is Thursday actually. I think it is. So we still have time to start moving up. However, I do think it's going to be continuing to happen anyway. Now, interestingly as well, obviously, there's some. It's new to me. I never really looked at it. It's something called the Wyckoff pattern, and it's basically, I always heard about Wyckoff pattern and people used it. I never really did any research into it, but I have done research into it, and me and Mike were talking about it not too long ago. And it turns out it's only really just how the market moves. It's kind of a market structure. So if you're familiar with the power of three, accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, it's similar to that, but it's got another step, which so does power of three. That kind of market structure and the way the market moves. I've normally seen a lot of them with 4 movements. So if we go to a different chart, this is somewhat different. So it looks ugly. I understand. Okay, it was a quick drawing, but this is kind of the process of the Wyckoff pattern. You have a distribution, and then you have a movement down. And then basically the amount you move for the markup is like similar to like the distribution. I can't remember exactly. if you go search Wyckoff patterns, you'll find probably a really great detailed version of it. But I'm not great. I don't know it completely. I just know the way it works is you've got the distribution, then you've got like a manipulation, and then you normally have something within the accumulation which causes you to I think it's called the spring. Similar with Power 3 as well. It talks about within the accumulation, there's a manipulation and a distribution which kind of comes up. So they're named a bit differently on different things, but in this case it's accumulation, then you have a markup, and then distribution. Distribution being a kind of like a crab within the higher ranges. So this is kind of the process of how I see it coming. We're within this accumulation area, obviously probably drawing it within here. You can see, obviously I drew this on the 4 hour actually, so you can't really see it as well. So we're kind of within this area, this general area. Obviously we can bounce within it, as long as we're within this area, we're kind of in accumulation. And we normally come to test some different area before we kind of break out. There we go. But this is kind of the structure. This is the structure of the Wyckoff pattern, which could suggest to us we're obviously in the accumulation phase. Something important needs to happen for us to break out. And what do we see on the daily market cipher? We can see bullish divergence. We can see momentum coming up. We can see money flow coming up. RSI coming up. VWAP and RSI aren't really doing something. They're not really moving up too crazy. We can see at this rough level. If I get the pen out, you can see this rough level for the RSI. The green means we're oversold, so we're basically still in the oversold situation for RSI. So pretty much every single possible indication on market cipher is telling us we should be going up right now. Obviously, you've technically got this double bottom on the market cipher as well. If you look at that, but we do have our bearish. Do have our bullish divergence. We should be coming up. So there's so much potential in terms of what is to come and what is coming and what is right now happening within the market as a whole, which is suggesting that we should be coming up. Obviously, when there's so much positivity like that, the market, I would think it would tend to, it would pump a bit, and then it would probably have some sort of big retractment, liquidate a bunch of people, and kind of, cool off a bit and then pump. So, especially within today, we've been sort of the CPI news, we had a big pump, and then obviously we've dumped now. But I generally expect it to have higher lows. So, I mean, that's how it normally works in a bullish scenario. You have higher lows. You come up a bunch, but then what happens? You come down a bunch. But as long as we're printing our lows higher and higher, I'm not worried pretty much in the slightest at all for how Bitcoin is. And I just think, and there's not really much for me to update upon where we're going to exactly go to. I think we are at this order block right now. We do have potential for move up. Obviously, I mean, this is an order block within itself as well here. Obviously, it's a single order block. You can see, this bounce within here, this kind of area. Moving up towards high range. But I mean, for me, what is better is this middle order block. You can see we're printing pretty much exactly at this midpoint. But on the 4 hour, we do technically have a bit of negativity. VO's coming down, momentum's coming down, money flow's coming down. So it's not really looking too positive in that field of things. But as long as we print above the mid line of this order block within the next 40 minutes, I'm not worried. Even though I wouldn't be worried anyway, because we do have we had this trend line. Oh no, this wasn't a trend line. This was a pump area. But regardless, if we were to come down, we are holding this trend line as support. And what do we meet within this trend line and this line here? Well, this line here was the support point which we used previously anyway. These two meet pretty much at 56.4. So if we do print below and we do come down for whatever reason, then I think we would come to maybe there about 30, 36, whatever the hell down there. I do want to check one thing though, actually, which is this. Yeah, this would bring us roughly there. Let me draw this properly, actually. So the high to, or the rough high in the middle here to the low, coming from the neckline about, from the candle here. This brings us roughly to that area. Obviously, if I shimmy it across, it brings us better. You can see this brings us, if we do have a mini double top off here, these grains aren't too great anyway, but if we do, it does shimmy us from where we are right now to about 56 to 240, which is a test of our support point. Now, interestingly, obviously we have had our test on the 1 hour. You can see this bounce here coming up. However, we haven't had a proper good test of the support point on the 4 hour on any of the high time frames properly. We haven't had a clear and cut 4-hour print at these lines. So we could be coming back to test it once more on the higher time frames, as I talked about at the start of the stream. I don't want that to happen because we could be coming down, but it would provide us to have a lot of potential positivity for Bitcoin. And again, we do need to pay attention to the fact that there are external, outside of the market or outside of the price action in the market, news coming out which will affect the price. These offsets in price, I talked about it with Ethereum as well when the ETF whole thing happened and we had that huge pump. It's like these are offsets of the price. These aren't price action based things where we have to completely retract. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty when it comes to chart patterns and CA as a whole, and market cipher and any sort of indicator, because most indicators don't really look at outside, unless you have some AI tool which reads the news. It doesn't have, it doesn't take on board what's happening in the news or what's happening in the whole market in general, like the macro level. So we do need to pay attention to that fact. So we could wick down, something could happen, and we can wick all the way back up, that sort of thing. So we do need to pay attention to that. Do need to be careful of that. But I think what's easier to do is to predict what's happening over a higher time frame. Short time frame, yeah, you can predict them, but I think the market moves more simpler and it moves better when you're looking at the high time frames and you're paying attention to the high time frames. And I think on the high time frames, what it's telling me is we should be coming up over a longer period of time, because if you're trying to pay attention to the 1 minute and see where we're going to go on the 1 minute, there's no point. We've got 60 candles in an hour on the 1 minute, so there's no, it's hard to predict what's going on in general when you look at the 1 minute. Lower time frames are made for entries, and higher time frames are normally to see how the market's going. So I'm paying attention to more on the 4 hour and the daily. And the daily, what is it telling me? Well, we've got complete bullishness on the daily. 4 hour, it's not looking too good. Obviously, probably printing below. Even right now, we're coming down. Obviously, as long as we print or don't print. So, like I said, what could I expect? There is potential for us to come down to 36,400 to test some sort of support. But in general, as a whole, like I said, in general, I think we move up. And my goal, anyway, even my take profit for the long, is 62.3. Personally, 62.3 is where I see us really reach the top. That's where I think the top is. I definitely think we've got resistance, even though we've tested it with today. We've got resistance at this line, 59k, whatever. We're going to have some sort of resistance at 61k for sure. 60k is probably going to be huge as well, because 59 to 60 is always going to be huge. So there's definitely going to be a lot of steps in between where we are to have difficulty. But if you pay attention to the distribution, you can see even here, this is, you can see how obvious it is. I didn't mean to draw a line there. I can quickly look at the Wyckoff pattern, or whatever you want to call it. If I can actually find where the pen tool is. There we go. You can see this was our range. We had this kind of range here. With it, well, this is obviously a line coming down, but this range within here was where we were. And then what happened? If we shimmy this line across, let's delete that. Whoops. If I shimmy this line across, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, you can see this line was basically our top. What happened? We had I think it's called a spring. Obviously, it was a print outside of this kind of distribution area, or the area before we have a big dump. So what happened? We printed on the outside of things, and then we had our dump. This is our markdown, whatever. And now we're in the accumulation phase. What needs to happen is we need to have some interesting big movement in the price, which is going to break us out of this area and then bring us up towards the high areas for the markup. I think the markup is roughly where the distribution was. Distribution bringing us towards 61.8, towards 62.3, this area. Obviously, the middle of this distribution area, or the top of the distribution area, was 62.3 anyway. So, hoping for that anyway. Red flags for one more bottom. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is, we are coming down right now. If we print below this order block, we could come down to 36.4 to kind of test the bottom area. But I think we hold this support, because you can see bounce here, bounce here, bounce here, obviously breakout. So we bounced 3 or 4 times off of this support point, and or this support line. And what was this support line? This was probably the longest period of downwards movement. This was our bull area. Oh, not bull area. This was our bullish movement or bull trend, whatever. Or not, bear trend. I keep on doing that. I keep on saying bear flag instead of bull flag, bull trend line instead of bear trend line. This was our bear trend line. And what is this trend line measuring? This is the measurement of downwards, bouncing off where? The entirety of the weekly bull flag. So this was our downwards movement from the... Keep on moving things. This was our downwards movement of the entirety of our entire bull flag. So this was an important area. You can see this line, bounce there, bounce there, bounce there, bounce there, bounce there. We've bounced off it multiple times. This whole trend line was really important. We slipped below, used it as resistance, obviously you try to come above, hit difficulty above the old block and at the top of the trend line, and then we dumped again. And then what's happened? We've saw resistance at this line. What's happened? We've broken above, and importantly, we're trying to now test it as support. So I think as long as we hold it, and then we come above 59k, hold that, I think we're going to have slower and or steadier and steadier higher lows back up towards 60k area. So in terms of am I seeing any sort of negativity in terms of like 55k or 54k? I don't personally think so, unless we have some sort of negative news to bring us down. I don't personally think so. I personally think we're going to be hopefully holding this support line, which was our bear trend, which is now it's basically a trend line, or it's basically a support resistance line with a gradient. That's all it really is. So this is our support area, basically. This is our support line, basically meeting at roughly 56.3, 56.4 area. So I think if we print below on the 4 hour, you can see negativity. I think in general we can come down, but if you're paying attention to the daily, we can see on the on Mark Cypher we're completely oversold. You can see VOP's really coming up, money flow's coming up, momentum's coming up. We've got bullish divergence. Every single aspect of Mark Cypher is telling us we should be coming up. Really big green dot here. That is a local bottom. We've got so many things. Every single checkbox on Mark Cypher is saying we should be coming up. And for me anyway, that's my little personal tool is, you want to make sure you're ticking off every single aspect, or as many aspects as you possibly can for, your indicators. For me, obviously Mark Cypher B. So pay attention to it. If I wrote it down on a list and ticked off each one, and I realized every single checkbox was ticked, I'd be buying. Obviously, I have already bought. I'm in a long, and we hold Bitcoin anyway. So, I have followed my rules and I have longed, and we've been transparent about that. And I've been warning you guys since 55k when I said we should be dumping down there. Which obviously I'm going to keep on going on about this. No one, from what I know of online, predicted this really, unless they're someone who isn't really popular in terms of being online and everyone watching them. The big dogs. I don't think I saw anyone talk about 55k. Obviously it happened. I talked about it. Obviously looked at Bookmap a ton and looked at how much buy orders were down there, expecting some sort of dump towards there. Obviously it did happen. I was saying from then and then forward, buying Bitcoin. You should buy Bitcoin. Buy Bitcoin right now, please, or long it, whatever you want to do to get some Bitcoin, or trade Bitcoin at least, because I know we're gonna be going up. And you can see we're kind of having our accumulation phase coming up into our range, and so on and so forth. So hopefully we can break 59k and continue upwards and not have some sort of resistance. But what's more convenient for me is you can see this order block, which was really good. We bounced off the top of it. That coincided with the top of the bear range, which was difficult to break above. That was too much. But you can see the separation between this bear range, or the top of it, and the oil block. So I think we have potential to, take it one step at a time, break above this resistance line, use it as support, then try and break above the oil block, and so on and so forth. I'm not too negative. I think we're hopefully above. As long as we keep and hold above and test this support line, I think we'll be okay. Especially on the daily. I mean, daily, I think weekly's not bad. I'm not sure. I mean, weekly's, it's not awful. Our RSI's cooled off. VOP's coming up. We could have a turning point for here. But again, obviously, momentums don't necessarily have to be below the 60 mark to be important. But as long as the money flow's coming in, VOP's coming up, RSI's coming up, it doesn't really matter. But daily is more so where we need to be looking at right now, and daily is pretty positive. I'm going to move on now, though, because I've absolutely yapped about Bitcoin so much that we haven't really looked at anything else. So Ethereum, what's going on? Okay, so let's have a little look. What's happened? So we had the order block, which we tested as support, good, continued upwards, had resistance at the trend line, broke up, which was nice, but we never came. Actually, let me go to 1 hour. It's probably easier to look at. Here we go. So yeah, okay, nice. So yeah, we had this. Would you look at that? Isn't that just so convenient? So we had this bull flag on Ethereum. Actually, what day is today? That wasn't too long ago. So that was 2 or 3 days ago. This is Monday. This is actually last stream. So last stream we talked about Ethereum. Obviously, I said we should probably come up towards 31 and break into, as I said on last stream, pretty much with the entire market, that we should be coming up into these ranges, because Ethereum and Bitcoin both had the same, rough range of in terms of its bear range, as we already saw on Bitcoin on the higher time frame. So what do we do? Well, my suggestion was on Monday that we should be coming into that range at about 3181. So if we shimmy along, what happened? Well, we started to break out. hit resistance at this order block and this trend line, broke up, used the order block as support, and then we bounced up and garnered more positivity. Came above. You can see we came above. We never. You can see here we printed not testing the order block and then slipped below, and now we're kind of in these two ranges. You can see bouncing off this order block and this order block. You can see we're bouncing off this general range. But what actually happened? Our total movement upwards. Obviously, we totally reached 3,200 roughly, but you can see drawing across this line, we did hit about 3,200, which is what my suggestion was. Just about printing there. So, the suggestion, it worked. That's pretty good. Let me delete this line. It's a bit distracting, though. So, what's happening? We could be having another bull flag, which is good. Always good to see that. Or bull pennant, whatever you want to say. They're both kind of the same thing. Well, not the same thing, but, they kind of produce the same output. Bringing us back towards 3,219 as a whole. But let's look at market stuff quickly. It's not that negative. RSI is coming down. Things are coming down in general. For Ethereum on the 1 hour anyway. Let's look at the 4 hour. Yeah, it's looking pretty negative. Similar with what I'm saying with Bitcoin, we could slip below and test. But interestingly, actually, on Ethereum, you can see on the 1 hour, we actually did test pretty accurately this line here. You can see if I zoom in, we did really test this support line properly on the 4 hour. So, unlike Bitcoin, we didn't really test support on the 4 hour, for Bitcoin anyway. But for Ethereum, you can see we've come back to test this support line, which is good. So I'm not too concerned to come back to test it. So it seems like we could potentially have, some higher lows, maybe coming back to the bottom of this order block at 3,080. So as Bitcoin comes down to maybe test 56.4, for Ethereum, it could be about 3,080. We could come down. But looking at markets, I thought, Bitcoin wasn't as negative on the 4 hour, but for Ethereum, you can see really, really high momentum. VWAP's starting to come down. Money flow starting to come down. Red dot. RSI is pretty high. Small red dot here, suggesting some sort of local top, which you can see does line up with the fact that we've got the bounce off the top of this order block and this red dot. So I think we could be coming down, similar with Bitcoin. We can also see we did print a order block to back up this resistance line where the midpoint meets this bottom line. So this bottom line, or this resistance line here about 3,131 is probably probably made stronger by this new order block. But again, it's just going to be general resistance in this area. But I think we might come down towards 3,080, testing, printing a higher low and kind of just coming up there. So I think we have some retractment, especially seeing as how positive the market was and how much we pumped. I think we're having some sort of retractment as a whole for the market. What I'm going to do though is check what the chart is saying, because I haven't actually looked at Binance in ages. See if we've got any suggestions or anything. Not really. That's all right. We do have some on YouTube though. We have Ondo and Jupe. We will look at that in a minute. Quickly look at Solana now. Actually, let me go to the daily for Ethereum just to see what's going on. Yeah, this is pretty good. 4 consecutive days of positivity. Again, I mean, obviously Bitcoin's been held back by this big sell-off and everything external. And what I always say, things external always do provide difficulty to pay attention to chart patterns and indicators, because it's external from the market. Like I already said, indicators can't tell what's going on in the market. These sorts of things just can't read what's going on. But we have had this kind of downwards trend, which we're now entering back into, as I've already talked about, coming back up, hopefully bringing us towards this 4,000 range for Ethereum at the kind of pinnacle of everything. But why Ethereum and Bitcoin have been different is obviously, like I just said, with the big sell-off. We can see Bitcoin, as we've already looked at, Bitcoin for Mark Cipher or Bitcoin's Mark Cipher is identical in terms of its situation or identical to Ethereum, and you can see the resultant of this situation. Right here, you can see this line is where it was at this green line. Obviously, coming from there, we've had a movement upwards of counting from the bottom about 10%, counting from the print about 6%. So if we didn't have any sell for Bitcoin, we would probably be up another arbitrary number resultant from Ethereum similar. So obviously Ethereum's gone up 6%, Bitcoin could have got up another 6% like Ethereum or 4%, whatever it may be. But the fact is, Bitcoin would be moving up similar like Ethereum would, but due to the fact that this big sell-off and this negativity which has come off the market, it just made it really hard for Bitcoin to do anything really positive and move up like, really strongly. But again, it is moving up positively. And in general, I'm glad Market Cypher is lining up, and the data as a whole is lining up kind of collectively with, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana roughly, and a lot of coins, everything's kind of lining up, which suggests to me that we're all roughly in the same situation when it comes to coins, and that we should all have a big pump very soon, which is what I'm expecting, especially with this news, and from the bounce off the bull flag, I'm expecting us to be moving up by the end of the entire movement to at least maybe 70,500 or 70,800-ish. So yeah, I mean, again, daily positivity. We've had 4 days of positivity. I don't see us stopping anytime soon. We are below these order blocks, but I think we can sort these out on the lower time frames. I think over the dailies, we're going to be going towards 3,300, coming towards the top at 3,300, maybe bouncing off it. That would be pretty difficult. We could have what could happen is we could bounce off our resistance points, have another come back down, and then by next week time, in 7 days, we could be coming back up again, and then alongside the positive news, break above resistance. That could be a possibility. But I think as of now, we're moving up for Ethereum. As of now, on the lower time frames, on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, I think we do have a bit of a retracement to test support. But I think on the daily, as of now, coming to the next couple of days, we're moving upwards. Hopefully, anyway. Again, not financial advice. Also, you say that because it's important to say that I am not some financial guru. This chart's a mess, man. Let me just see if I go into a different chart. Oh, we've already looked at this. Okay, we've already had TA for Solana on the different chart. So we've got... Oh, yeah. So basically, we had a bounce. My drawing suggests we should come up. Obviously, this is very steep. Obviously, I always say this. I always do say this, though. That... Whenever I draw with the pen, it's never representation of time. It's representation of direction and magnitude, I suppose, more so than anything else. Let me check the chat, though. Real Master, hi. Hello. I'm glad you're here on the stream. If you've got any coins as well, I'll say this again for people who are joining new on the stream. If you've got any coins you want to cover, put it in the chat as well. We are covering Ondo and Dupe already after Solana. And yeah. Deep Indigo Sky, how did you learn to trade? Well, it was a lot of videos. Videos definitely helped. And kind of looking at, well, obviously I do use chart patterns often, so kind of looking at those cheat sheet screenshots, they helped kind of reinforce all the chart patterns, kind of like recognizing, because a lot of the time what happens is I'll look at charts and I'll see some sort of chart pattern, but I might not remember the name. That's because I do look at the chart patterns a lot, but there was a lot of time spent on wrong things. Obviously, I never want to say that every strategy is wrong and only my one's right, but I did spend a lot of time on things which didn't really help me efficiently, which is what you normally go for anyway. But it was mainly watching YouTube videos and kind of kind of back testing. Obviously, you don't need the replay system on TradingView to do that. You can just go onto charts and going back in time on higher time frames and just looking at the way that the price moves, and if you're using indicators, the way that the indicator responds to the price, and the way it kind of all works within, obviously, Market Cypher, looking at when we had big pumps and kind of the patterns which formed from the price and in my indicator, obviously in this case Market Cypher, and obviously chart patterns and price action. But again, a lot of it is also down to you need to have some experience in the market as well. It helps. Obviously, I'm not saying I'm some person who has had years and years in the market, but it helps to go over charts every day and just see patterns, because sometimes you'll see stuff subconsciously after a while. But mainly YouTube videos. YouTube videos helped. There's different people out there. There's ICT. I've heard some people say good things. I've never really looked at his strategy before. But ICT is good. They're the smart money concepts. Obviously, in my case, it's more chart patterns and order blocks and whatnot. But yeah, as they say in the chat as well, Telegram is the main area where you can ask us questions, me and Mike questions, or anybody in the community, and we do have a ton of links there as well. I also have the PDF of all the chart patterns and other things, and that's actually a really good PDF. That's good to mention. There's a PDF in there. Which is like Simple Trading V2, whatever it was. I can't remember. It's some book I translated, but it does go over the basics of candles and candlesticks. If you're a complete beginner, that book will probably help you a lot. So do join our Telegram. Should be in the description. If it's not, I'm sure it'll be sent in the chat. Go join Telegram and we can send you links to those books. Let me check the other chat quickly as well. Got nothing there. You have some water as well. Come on. Throat is really dry. Alright, so looking back on this, what can we see? So I'm trying to find if we've got some sort of order block, which we kind of do here, which is nice to see. You can see a good order block there. You can see bounce there as we come up as well. You know, preceding that bounce off of that order block. What else do we have? We've got this line here. I've already drawn on the lower time frames, which are also, you know, an order block. Now, we have talked about this a lot. So my throat is just really dry. I need to drink quite a bit of water. So we have talked about this quite often on many streams. The reason why sometimes Solana, I don't really appreciate Solana enough to compare it to Ethereum and Bitcoin, because of the fact that it is a deviance. You know, Solana does move, you know, quite dissimilar to Ethereum and Bitcoin. So whenever I look at Bitcoin and I go back to Ethereum, a lot of the time this scenario is very similar, and you know, market life is very similar, and I can normally take the kind of sentiments from Bitcoin onto Solana, and I normally do that for most coins I cover. You know, I still do it for Solana, but you know, whenever I look at Solana, you know, after coming from Bitcoin and Ethereum, there's always a bit of there's always a bit more I need to do, because of the fact that they always seem to be very, you know, dissimilar from each other. So you can see in this case, you know, Solana's not exactly doing what all the other coins are doing, basically. So you kind of have to treat it, you know, differently. And my treatment is, as much as I want to say we're coming down, we probably might come back towards maybe 132, you know, 133 as support. But I just do think we do have this chart pattern. Now, I think this is a symmetrical triangle, I think it's called, and that can produce a positive or negative, you know, result from its movement. Now, pay attention to what the market is. I said this last stream. Pay attention to what the market's doing and everything as a whole. I think that this produces an upwards movement. So I think we're doing our thing. You know, we've had a bounce. We've kind of come down, had difficulty at a midpoint, and now we're coming down again. Probably, hopefully, coming up towards these ranges. I think we result in 186. You know, Bitcoin has 62.3, Ethereum has 4,000. I think for Solana, it's about 186 and a half in terms of its top point as we reach it. You can see as well, actually, that this order block's really been respected. You can see good bounces from there, you know, in and out here. Especially, yeah, obviously, if I go on the low time frame, it's probably respected a bit better. Yeah, you can see we produced it, we printed below it, we wicked above, never used its support, came down, resistance, and then support, and then we slipped below from this resistance. So a good order block. You can see respecting each and every area of this order block pretty nicely on the 4 hour. And you can see right now we are using it pretty nicely as resistance. You know, 3 times, 4 times now, especially over here, resistance here. Obviously tried to wick above, fell below because we never used its support. Support, wicked above, never used its support, fell below. That is a crucial part. If you're ever going to use order blocks, obviously if you do your own research, you can. Order blocks, whenever you're trying to flip them to a breaker block, you need to pretty much very immediately, I don't know what I'm saying, you need to pretty much come back to test its support pretty fast. Like in this scenario, you can see, you know, we came up, but then we had multiple candles of not coming back to the midpoint. And you can see we did come back to the midpoint eventually, but it was just too long, and then we came below. Same here. You can see it was completely disrespecting. Obviously, what didn't help was we printed our own order block there. You can see, and we printed above it all the way here. So we never came back to it, which was difficult. And then we just slipped below. And then here, bounce off here, here. So we're having difficulty. It seems like we have our, you know, like a mini Bart Simpson, which brings us back towards about 132. So what I think is, you know, we can probably come back towards 152, as does Bitcoin comes to 56 free, as does Ethereum comes back towards its support line. I think Solana, as a whole, the market comes back to test 133. You can see with Mark Cypher as well, we've got negativity. Money flow's coming down, VWAP's really coming down, momentum's coming down, RSI's coming down. I think we do slowly come down towards 132. I'm trying to trade off Fibonacci. Fibonacci's always good. Yeah, Fibonacci's great. I haven't used Fibonacci in ages though. Fibonacci levels, but I'm messing up royally. I wait until price gets to 1665 level and enter. Yeah, I mean, is that? I think you're looking at the golden pocket. Golden pocket's good. I haven't used golden pocket in ages. I can't remember what the exact setup was. I know you have to have like in this scenario, for example, like from the low, like this comes back. You can see in this scenario is good. So the fib retractment is the retractment, you know, coming back from a high and a low, or in this case, low and high. As you can see, this is good. I think they got on. I can't remember what number it is. Yeah, here it is. 16.8 or 61.8. Sorry, I can't read. So in this case, you know, this could be pretty good. You can see this was a good golden ratio. I don't know if I have a setup for golden ratio on my settings. I think I do. A golden pocket. That's it. Here we go. This is really good. As you can see here, we had a good golden pocket here. You can see retracement from the high all the way to the low, and then we retraced back. If I minify this will probably be easier. You can see we retraced from our point down here, retraced all the way back towards this golden pocket. Obviously, hit it right there exactly, and then we had really good movement down. So, you know, Fibonacci can work. You know, even in this scenario I just found really quickly, it can work really, really well. How much was this move down? This was a crazy move down on the 4 hour. This was a 22% move down for Solana. Pretty crazy. I know there's a guy called Jason Casper, who's a really good trader, has made, you know, quite a lot of money. He does a lot of good content. And I think he uses the golden pocket quite often and uses Fib. So Fib is a great tool. But I know what you mean with you know, messing up. I understand completely. Like, my first trades were absolutely, you know, awful. Like, I was a horrible trader. Like, but it does take time, and you know, sticking to it, and you know, kind of. Obviously, you don't want to trade strategy every 2 seconds, but what my thing I've done there. Obviously, I found my groundwork. So you've got Marcus Alpha B, which is a reimagined version of Crypto Warehouse, which basically is just a wave trend RSI VWAP and money flow. I think it's called the Chaikin money flow. Something or other, and then you've obviously got the wave trend. So this is just a combination of multiple tools. But you know, what I do is I've built my foundation. Obviously, you know, chart patterns. A lot of it's quite foundational anyway. Chart patterns and Mark Cypher with these, you know, decent data tools. I do sometimes use Fib. I don't use it too often, but what I do use Fib a lot when I have not a lot of data, or when I'm on deck screen and there's no tools. I use Fib a lot. Fib is really good. Golden Pocket's really good. I don't really use it too often because, you know, I just use different tools. I just don't really look at it too much. But what I do is I look at different strategies, and I kind of take different aspects of it. So, for example, you know, order blocks and that whole thing, and breaker blocks. That is, I don't know what strategy or whatever that is. Obviously, not every tool is part of a strategy and strategy alone. You don't have to use an entire strategy because of one tool. Like order blocks, you know, I don't think it's tied to one strategy, but I found it while I was looking into a different strategy. I found order blocks, and then what did I do? I went back and tested them a bunch. I went, these really work. I really like these. These are better. These are for me better than support resistance. I like these a lot. And then what happens? I use them. You know, I keep on trying to learn, and then, you know, reiterating upon my own strategy over and over again until I get something which works really consistently. Like for me anyway, I'm happy with the way my stuff works. You know, order blocks, you know, you can see in this scenario, you can see really good bounces. Obviously, if I go to the high time frames, it's rougher. There's many rules to order blocks, but you know, they work. They work really well. You know, this order block, for example, we came back to the midpoint, really good long. If I saw we were at the midpoint, I'd be longing immediately, and then I would put a stop loss at 144.80, and I would have made this trade here. So there's just different ways of different things. Let me read these chats. That's how I suppose work. Never easy, everyone has their own way. Yeah. Anyone want to make your own guess? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, you don't have to make your own strategy. You know, you can just go and, you know, obviously, like I said, talking about ICT, I think it's got like smart money concepts. I don't really know his strategy too much. But there's that whole thing, like with like liquidity traps and whatnot, and power free, and a lot of these things, fair value gaps. Again, another example on the flip side, fair value gaps. I looked at fair value gaps. I couldn't get it. There's so many options. There's so many times I tried to look at fair value gaps. It never worked, so I didn't use it. I just tried to kind of build my own, like you said, blend them all into one. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of it is just taking time into it. But you know, we do have our Telegram. We have the PDFs. I'm starting to make videos on Mark Cypher and other things. We've got my tools, for example, if you do want to have any of the tools I use on stream or anything, you can come ask questions in the Telegram. You can come get these tools because I don't sell them. We've got Simple Significance as well. Simple Significance is great as well. You can see here, boom, look at that, and here as well. So I'm telling you, Simple Significance is our indicator. It is Crypto Warehouse's support resistance. So I can send you this link as well if you want it, because it is like the magnum opus of support and resistance. Okay, it is like the beautiful version of support and resistance. This will go over all the price action and different data tools like the volume profile, and it will go ahead and find. It will kind of correlate. I made this tool. I know how it works. It will correlate volume profile with price action. So it will go and find high areas in the volume where buy orders and sell orders are. It'll go find high density areas of that, and it will go look back at the price action. And if it finds areas which match up, it will draw it. But it also coinciding, and again, I always talk about this. There's so many different ways of looking at the same chart. Two sides to the same coin, whatever you want to say. And I drew order blocks. You see this order block, for example. The bottom of the line comes directly to this line. Obviously, it's quite a decent example, but you can see. Okay. I should rename this tool. Okay, you can get it for free. This is our Market Cipher. I remade Market Cipher. Basically, I did research into Market Cipher. And I found out what each tool was. Like, I didn't know anything about Market Cipher. I looked into it. I found out, okay, money flow. And then I looked at all the money flow, and I found which money flow it was. I figured out which... it says it on the website what each and every part is. And then I just made my own version. I just made my own version of it. Because I know how to make these sorts of things. So you don't need to pay for Market Cipher. And this is why, Crypto Warehouse... this is Crypto Warehouse's Market Cipher. But I didn't want to call it anything else because of the fact that it's basically... it is Market Cipher, but just made by me, and it's technically made by me. So I didn't want to call it anything else because it is Market Cipher. I don't want to coin it by any other term. So you don't have to pay for Market Cipher. We can send you this link. I can send you this link. I can send you some Simple Significance. The only reason, and obviously if you've made your own product, or you kind of want to advertise it, but I don't use Simple Significance as much because I do order blocks and I love order blocks, and I think they're great. And this is what I'm getting to. Whenever I draw order blocks, you can see here, for example, the order blocks and these support points and resistance points, they always line up pretty well. So I don't use Simple Significance because it clutters my chart, because I'm going to have support points which are duplicated because I use the order blocks. But Simple Significance, if you don't, genuinely, I can go to a random coin, I can go to this random coin, and I can tell you immediately where support resistance is going to be. Obviously it is more, there's not 15 billion support resistance. I think you can change how many there are. There's percentages, obviously there's widths and whatnot. There's different little areas. But in the code you can change how many support resistance you want. But I can immediately go to this chart and tell you where all the support resistance is, and tell you if we're in the middle, if we're at a premium discount, and you can immediately get a grasp of what sort of situation you're in. Are we at a support point right now? Are we at resistance? Are we going to bounce? Obviously, I wouldn't advise just use Simple Significance. Obviously, use as many tools as you want. Try and find different support resistance zones. Like in where we are for now, right example, this general area, you can see we wicked down to it, we printed at it, we bounced off it. So probably where we are right now is a good resistance point. But like I said, Simple Significance, it doesn't provide every single support point, because if it did, your chart would be a mess. But like I said, you could immediately go into a chart and have all this data immediately. Like you can see over here, it's just so much easier. It's just so much easier. Okay, immediately we've got this range here. We've pumped. You can immediately see once you start to pump and print above it. I didn't have to draw anything. I can use Market Cipher and this. You can see money flow's coming up, momentum's coming up, VWAP's coming up, and we're printing at a support point, and all this is coming up. I think we're going to pump. What happens? We came to our support point, and then obviously we bounced, and then what happened again? We printed above and came to our next resistance point. Sorry. So I think it's a great tool. You can immediately have support resistance. You don't even have to think about it. It's that simple. So I will add that on as well. I'm yapping, but there you go. There's I just don't use it because I like to draw my own support resistance. I'm gonna move on to Sol actually, because we spent a lot of time on it. It's not really very interesting. I'm interested in this. Man, that's code. That's a nice skill. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a while. It's very useful. I like making my own things. I like it. It does help when you want things like Market Cipher or different tools, a lot of it's very easy. Like, a lot of these trading tools, I definitely, obviously, everything within finance is inflated when it comes to prices. Like, some trading tools are $50 a month, or you get a Bookmap and it's $700. All it's doing is getting the order book from the exchanges, finding the high areas, and then drawing a graph on the right, and then giving you some colors. That's all it's really doing. It's not a complicated tool. A lot of these tools aren't complicated. It's just, finance people, unless you know how to code, you don't have the time to do all this, and it makes it a lot easier. Especially with Market Cipher. Market Cipher, all it does is make it look nice, and it just lays multiple tools on top of each other, and kind of, just prints these little dots. So it's intricate, but at the same time, it's not very involved. It's nothing really, really crucial. And a lot within, like a lot of the financial tools, it's just reading and showing data. It's just a way of displaying data. So, there's not really a lot within finance, which is very hard to do. And I feel like I want to give a service like, if there's something really, I think Market Cipher, especially with TradingView, is probably one of the most expensive TradingView indicators. So my goal was to remake it good enough. And I just want to make tools which we can share with the community. But the difficulty is with TradingView, as months go on, but as months go on, and the essential account, it gets lessened and lessened. Like, you can only have 3 indicators or 2. So I don't want to make 15 bazillion indicators when you can only use 2. And I don't want your entire TradingView account to be filled up with our indicators, but I will provide them anyway. So I enjoy trying to make things for the community, for you guys, because I want a reason for you guys to be here. But anyway, going on to Ondo, and I'll be looking at Dupe after that. So what do we have? Well, we have good support off our order block. This was it's an ascending triangle, which I talked about, which brought us to this support point, which is very good. Now, this area, the reason why this doesn't work was because it wasn't actually an order block. It was just a general area. I drew it because you can see really good resistance, really, really good support. I just drew it. So it wasn't actually an order block. So, you can kind of ignore it. The next order block down, or support point, and if we show some significance, it probably has it as well. Is there not enough data? Sometimes. Okay, there's not enough data. If I go to the 4 hour, I might have enough. There we go. Yeah, exactly. See here. Look at that midpoint. Midpoint. It's exactly on the midpoint. It's like 1-to-1. It's perfect. And here, this order block, this mini order block over there. Obviously, again, like I said, there's so many more support and resistance points than these order blocks, but it looks at different things. So I'm not gonna get every single support and resistance point, exact 1-to-1. But anyway, I'm gonna hide it because it's messy. So we go to daily, really quickly. So you can see we've formed our own order block within the area. Okay, let me there we go. See, okay, we formed our own order block, which we've come back and we've tested it, and we've hit resistance at this line up here, and now it looks like we're kind of bouncing. Really, really good market size. You can see we're below the 60 mark. Momentum's really good. Money flow's really coming in. VOP's really coming up. RSI's coming up. Really positive. Again, the entire market has the exact same. And as I said with Ethereum, when the entirety of the market has a very similar situation with Market Cipher, it's telling me that we're going to have a really good couple of days. Yeah, and they charge mega bucks for it. Exactly. Yeah, it prays because the finance sector in terms of its tools, there's not that many tools. Like, it's not a lot. Like, a lot within general, like, I can't even think of many tools. Like note-taking apps. There's a bazillion note-taking apps, and it's not very complicated. You create some notes, you upload it to, you save it to your device, and you make it look pretty. So a lot of it isn't, they're not very charged. It might be $5 to buy the app. So it's not very expensive because it's, number one, it's a big market. There's not many people. There's so many different people in it, and again, it's also not complicated. But I would argue making a note-taking app is just as complex as making a financial tool. Obviously, an in-depth financial tool which does some crazy things. Obviously, it might be a bit more, but something like Bookmap, which reads your order book and shows you with colors, it's not that complex. It might take a while to make, but it's not that complex. So I definitely think a lot of the finance sector is rinsing you. But again, if you're someone in finance and you're using, if you need these tools, you're going to be making a ton of money. So why shouldn't they charge all this money? So it's fair enough. But if you've already made $1,300 from trading to buy Market Cipher, do you really need Market Cipher? You know what I mean? Like, do you really need to buy all these tools like Market Cipher, like $1,300? if you're going to charge for it, or if you're going to pay for the whole thing, that is. If you've already made all this money, like, what's the point? But again, again, it's each their own. But going back to this, you can see coming back off this order block again, really respected it. You can see here printing off it again here, really came exactly to it, really nicely printed off it. Formed our own little mini one candle order block. Which is nice anyway to have, which also coincides with this whole thing anyway. So just more support there. Going to the 4 hour, there you can see really nicely. This is like pristine. This is like if I had to make my own textbook of order blocks 101 and I had to put a profile image, the first thing you see on the first page, it would be this. This is just absolutely beautiful. You can see printing below this dotted line here, printing at the resistance line, printing below the dotted line here. And obviously, so these are 2 order blocks. There was the one we formed when we printed down here, and then the big order block. Oh no, the big range. But you can see anyway, this tested here, tested resistance, tested here, and then we obviously tested this midpoint, and then we had resistance here, and then here obviously as well. Obviously using this to support, really nice midpoint, really nice midpoint. Lowest we came to was here as well. Obviously printing above here. This is a perfect area. Perfect area of order block. You can see really good. And once you have these really good areas, my suggestion is, okay, what's happening? We've come up. Where we go to? There. It's that simple. Like it's we're in a range. For me, I think kind of accumulation phases and when you're in a really tight range, they're the easiest to trade. Like trading the range on a leverage, easiest thing to do. We've already found, okay, we've got 90 cents and $1.15. Or $1.015. We already know our range. We're coming down. We're coming down to 90 cents again. Or we could print higher. We could go to 92. So what my advice would be, maybe... Actually, I've just yapped about how easy it is, and now I'm having second thoughts. We could have a midpoint. Now, this is quite often when you have ranges and things like this. You normally have, your top end, you have the premium, your discount, and then you have your middle point, which is where you have support resistance on. So, like if I go to a chart like premium discount, it'll show it. You can see it here as well. Here it is. Like you can see, support on the midline, dip below, came up, whatever. Premium discount. This is basically it. But you normally always have bid, ask, midpoint, whatever the hell, a whole lot of yap of it. But here, this is the chart I was looking at. You can see, you come into the middle area, you come down, you come up, you come back to it. You kind of within this range. So, if we kind of overlay this onto here, you can see midline, come up, come down, midline, come down a bit, come up, midline, come up, or midline, come down. That is the question. Do we come down like here? Do we come down? Like do we do a thing where we do this and we print and we have this as resistance? That's what I'm thinking. So what you could do, if you wanted to trade this, I think we're coming down in general, obviously over the next hours and hours. So whatever. You can see as well my market cipher, really good momentum. VOP's really coming down, money flow's really come down. This is complete negativity, pretty much. But you can see, you can also see as well, really, market cipher is also good to find local highs and lows. You can see this green dot below this red line is a local bottom. You can see as well, if you line that with what the chart's doing, where is it? It's at the midpoint. Perfect. Really good. So, what can I see happening? We could come back possibly to 97 cent. We could do that and then come down to about 90 cents, or basically 90 cent. Yeah. So I'd be careful, but you could also have the argument of we had a good trend line. You can see boom, really good bouncing. We've come down. If we shimmy this, you can see the line kind of lines up with the support line. Now, what do I always say on the channel as well? Support could turn to resistance. And whenever you flip it, what could happen, I talk about like bull pence and bear pence all the time. Whenever you break out of these chart patterns, what normally happens, or what can happen, and it happens all the time, trust me, you come back to one of the trend lines as a support roughly, and then you absolutely pump. So I'm gonna show it again. What can happen is you have your pennant, you're doing this, and then what can happen a lot of the time is you break out, you do your breakout, and then you come back to test, and then you really go. So that is a possibility as well. There's a lot of possibilities with this range. I feel like an idiot because I just said they're so easy to sell, but I'm giving all these options. But what could happen is we come back to this this resistance line, which does coincide with this trend line. come back to test it, and then come down to 90 cents. So I'd wait out a bit. If we come towards maybe 94 cents, 94.5, and then I'd probably short then, because we're properly below this line. But even if, like, how much are you getting? 5%, pretty good. 10x that, 50%, not bad. Put $10 in, you get $5 profit. Put $100 in, you get $50 profit. Happy days. So, yeah, I'm going to move on to dupe there, because we have been going for quite a while. But I have been yapping a lot there. I'll go straight down like I found out. What Ondo? Do you think it's going to go straight down? I mean, yeah, it's a possibility, absolutely. If you just go into a chart and ignore everything, like all the things I've just drawn, and kind of just squint, we've got support resistance. And like I said, premium discount, what happens, you're at the top of the range. Eventually, it doesn't really matter what you do, eventually you've come back down to the bottom. So, like I said, we could come up and then come down, but I think in general we're coming down. And again, what is giving me more conviction is the fact that the entire market's doing the same thing. Ethereum and Bitcoin and Solana, I think we're all roughly retracting a bit. So, it gives me more confidence to say we're also going to be retracting for Ondo as we, go into the next couple hours. Let me go to dupe though. Oh yeah, this is good. Look at that. Came right to that order block. That is really good. That. I thought we were gonna. Yeah, that was a. I don't know why I have this. I must have drawn it as we were there. It was a wick as well. I don't know why I had that drawn. I'm not. I don't think I'm bad at TA. I don't think I'm that bad. I wouldn't have drawn a bull flag or a bull pennant. Well, I don't know. I'm deleting this. All right. I don't want to feel like a fraud. I'm deleting this. I don't know why that's there. But anyway. Oh, paper trading is a good idea as well. Yeah, paper trading is great. Or you can do the flip side, and you could leverage trade all your money. Not financial advice. Leverage trade all your money, and the risk and the worry internally will force you to provide the best TA to yourself. It will force you into a position where you have to perform the best you've ever performed. That's a possibility. You can do that as well if you want. Obviously, I'd probably go with the former of the paper trading, but hey, who am I to judge? So yeah, what was nice? Order block. I love order blocks, man. I love them. They're just so great. Look at this. Came back to exactly the top line. What do we do when we? Oh my god, we're coming up. What's happening? Where's our resistance? Exactly where the order block is. Now I guarantee if we did simple significance, we probably have some sort of lines similar to what we've got right here. Unless we've got a NAN because we've got enough data. Okay, we've got enough data. All right. Lo and behold, we've got an order block here. Oh, we've got a resistance point. Got a nice chatting with you guys. Nice chatting you here, especially compared to some of the channels out there. Yeah, I'm good to for sure. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. And hopefully, if you've enjoyed your time here and you like it, maybe subscribe. Notifications also help as well. Liking the video. Obviously, I think the important part, mostly if you've enjoyed, is if you want to see more, go into the Telegram because we always post notifications there when we're going to stream next, and I post charts there sometimes. We also have a different Telegram where I post more charts and we talk more about TA. But that Telegram's a good area. Already sub, cool, brilliant. Thank you very much. Actually, we'll check out the balance check. I haven't actually looked in a while. Nothing. Surprise. Again, this is why. This is just why. This is why I don't look at Binance. It's just an absolute mess. It's just. F with you guys, such a liar. I'm not a liar. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what I was talking about. Alright, see ya. Actually, before you go, we'll be streaming Saturday and Friday, so we'll be streaming in the morning, so if you're on, stop by. But anyway, like I was talking about, we've got similar significance again, brilliant, really good resistance. It recognized it immediately when we were here. Obviously, this lower ones, and as we proceed. But anyway, I don't want that on my chart. It's a mess. Then we go to the daily though. We can see what's happened. So this circle was my recommendation of a good buy area, and it ranged between 65 cent and a bit lower. And what do we do? What do we do? We bounced exactly pretty much off my line, which is very nice. So good at buy area. Obviously, if you took that on board, you took that on board. If you didn't, you didn't. So where we're going next, I suppose, is the most important part. Well, it seems like we've got resistance at this trend line. You can see we kind of hovered at it. Now we're having a bit of difficulty. Because 4 out of those, so we can actually see what's going on. So I think in the general market, you can see momentum is really going down. Differently from the market, though, you can see Microsoft on the daily. You can see money flows really, doing its part of being negative. But it's possibly showing signs of going up. But you can see the VWAP starting to come down. If that continues to come down, this could be a little fake out on the momentum. RSI's continue to come down. It could be one of those things where it's like, oh, we're positive, we've got bullish divergence, but realistically, we just come down. So if we draw this trend line here quickly, just to see, actually, no, trash trend line. I think we come down though. To where though is a great question. I hear you ask. Okay, there's nothing, there's no order blocks or anything I can see of, unless we've got some sort of trend line, maybe here and here. Okay, boom, we've got trend line here. We could come down to about 70 cent. 70 cent could be good as a support point. Again, you can see money flows coming down. Momentum on the 4 hour anyway. Momentum is coming down, but we've surpassed the midpoint and we're coming towards 60 mark. VWAP starting to arc. So what I could see happening, VWAP will start to arc upwards. Momentum, money flow continues to go down and kind of arc again to come upwards. So what I could see happening is we come down to 70.7 cents, 70 cents roughly, and then bounce and come back up towards 80 cents, 79 cents. But again, that coincides with the entire market. We come down. So I think if you haven't bought, 70 cent could be a good buy. You can see, we've kind of got a bear flag. If you look at it, oops, that's my secret sauce. I can't unleash that. See, where's this go? Oh, isn't that just brilliant? Look at that. Look at that. Where's this bring us? If we break down, which I don't think we'll do, I think we'll bounce, and then it'll happen again maybe here. Where's it bring us to? This line. It brings us 56 cents, which is basically the midpoint of this order block. Now, will this happen? Well, again, it's one of those coins where it's not exactly doing what the market's doing, so it can do its own thing, so it can come down to these lower price points. So it's a potential. It is potential, especially if you go to the daily or like the weekly or anything like that. Money flow is really negative. If money continues to come down on the daily, again, how deep it is, it's really strong in terms of its position for the money flow and everything as a whole. So I think we could easily come down to that price point if we follow through with the bear flag, which we seemingly have here. If I draw it properly, actually, let me go. So we could follow through this bear flag. It shimmies us down, actually maybe to the top line of the order block instead, which is about 57.8 cents roughly. So a good maybe potential opportunity to buy more. But you can see, we kind of have a, where is it? So you can see like boom. It's kind of like an M. Which kind of hopefully brings us up. But again, we'll see what happens. Again, what could also happen is we have a trend line like this instead. But again, this might shimmy us up further, and this might shimmy along further, which means we might. I think minimum 60 cent from when we come down for dupe. But that's if we do that. It depends on if we print at 70 cent right now, or if we print about 72 cent or whatever it is. So it does depend. But I think in general, as the market moves, I think this might go down, which would be unfortunate. But again, another good time to buy. And in general, over the really good long term for dupe, 73, 74 cents, really good time to buy. Anyway, 70 cent, great time. So yeah, I suppose it is just depending on what you want to do with your money. Obviously, none of this is financial advice, but we're a really good low for dupe. And dupe's a really good project. Dupe as a whole is brilliant. So you can, get on board with it. This would be a good time, good price, and good time to buy it. In my opinion, my humble opinion, and none of this is financial advice. How am I earn money? Well, you could get a job, or you could trade. You could roll a bank. I'm not advising that. You could start a crypto scam. You could hold a celebrity ransom. You could do a lot of things. You can sell drugs. I'm not advising any of this. This isn't something I think you should do. There's just possibilities. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it, though. We've looked at mainly everything I've wanted to look at, and from what it seems like everyone wants to look at, because no one said anything, which is disappointing. That's okay. Yeah, you can see we're shimmying down now. We've printed below the order block, which is good. You can see what's happened. Order blocks, they strike again. You can see printed below. This is a red doji candle. Again, I'm not a candlestick guy, but I can recognize this at least. What did we do? Where did we go? We wicked back to the midpoint. So this is a good order block. We're coming down. I think we come towards 56.39. But I just can't be asked to trade this. I'm trading the long term. Waiting until we go towards 62.3. If I get liquidated, then hey, is what it is. But that's pretty much it for the stream. Thank you all for joining. How about... Oh, you've snuck that in. You've snuck that in. At the last... You know what? Fine. I'm going to do it fast, though. Because I'm about in the stream. I'll do really fast TA on render. Go to daily, what's going on. Really nice order block here. Really, really good order block. You can see... I'm not really respecting the midline, though, interestingly. But a good print, nonetheless. We printed below. Especially here, we wick to it. We've got resistance there. I'm shimmying across now, though. Just to see if we've got anything else. We've got an order block here, actually. I think maybe, hopefully. I'm still trying to learn this formal order block. Yeah, you can see good order block. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Obviously, now we're printing below it. Where are we going now? Well, I suppose the best thing to do is try to find the next point of... Okay, ignore these lines. These lines are old TA. Let me just remove this quickly. But going back to it, trying to find the next point of support. Well, it looks like we've got something, obviously wicking down to $5.66. It seems like we have something in this general area down here as we shimmy this across. There's potential for there. So we've got about 50 something there cents there. But you can also see on the daily, as with pretty much everything in the market, we've got bullish divergence. Kind of momentum's really coming up. Money flow's really coming down there, so pretty negative. RSI is starting to come down. It seems like it's a bit of a fake out, or a bit of a fake one. So I do still think we come down a bit more than where we are right now. But to look at the general trend, it seems like we're in a range though, like a really tight range, the weekly anyway. So we could have this could be where we kind of bounce off. So we can see, boom, boom, boom. Boom, probably bouncing basically off of 50 or $5.55 and then coming back up potentially towards maybe $8.61. So we could have something like this, which is also roughly a bull flag, which probably starts from about there. If we bounce one more time, bring us up, it could bring us towards $15. I don't know if that's viable. Is this viable? I mean, hey, I don't know. Is that viable? I mean, how long does this take actually? Can that take? Actually, to be fair, I think Bitcoin pumps. I think Bitcoin pumps about October time or September October time towards 85k. So there's more potential for that. There's potential for that at all. So I think we come down. Okay, that's really good. You can see a really good wick there. I think we slowly print down towards $5.30, and then we probably come back up towards $8 and 67. And obviously, if you pay attention to what's going on in the market as a whole, we're coming down. So I think we continue to come down probably towards $5.30 for render. $5.30 is what my prediction is. Not financial advice. I'm not someone who does financial advice. Obviously, this is your own prerogative to take on the TA. But yeah, that is render. I'm doing my outro now. I'm done with charts. We zoom in on this area which we're in right now. So this is the scenario. Okay, there we go. Leave that on the screen. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you all being here. If you enjoyed and you're not subscribed already, just subscribe. I mean, like, what else are you gonna do? You're gonna leave the video and not have a like or subscribe? That would make me feel really sad, and you wouldn't want me to feel sad because I'll never do TA ever again, and I'll leave forever. So if you don't want me to do that, like the video, subscribe. Maybe you could put a comment down below how brilliant the video was. Oh, this stream was so good. Put it after the stream so people who are on catch up can see it. Oh my god, this stream is so great. I made so much good advice. He gives so much good advice. I made so much money from his trades. Obviously not financial advice. And yeah, if you also feel so provocatized, I suppose that could be a word, I don't know, that you really enjoyed the stream and you're not involved, you want to be more involved in the community and you want to talk to us or ask us questions or anything like that, come to the Telegram. It's in the descriptions, hopefully. If you're on YouTube, scroll up in the chat, you'll see the Telegram link. Go to there. We do charts. We've got all the indicators there. We've got everything there. We've got some books. If you're just getting started out in TA as a whole, we've got some good simple trading books there. In there as a PDF section. So do check that out as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm streaming. Mike's streaming tomorrow morning. We're streaming together on Saturday. I'm streaming next on Monday. And I guess I'm excited for next week. We've got the big data coming out. And I think we've got the meeting. I don't know if it's like Friday. I don't know if it's tomorrow. I'm not sure. I think Howell's speaking or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm more on what's going on. So thank you so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Let me check the chat one more time to see if there's anyone saying anything, which I won't be surprised if there isn't, because it's just an absolute bot spam in there, which is disappointing, but hey. Let's see what's going on. Someone called me a liar. Don't know why. Don't know what I lied about. Alright, nothing there. No surprise, it's just absolute spam. So thank you all, and I will see you next time. So, goodbye.